Coming to a comfortable seat on a surface that feels supportive for you, whatever that is for you today. Mine is going to be a block under my sit bones, and I'm going to kneel like so. Other people like to cross their legs. Do whatever feels best in your body. So, the root chakra, as I said, it's at the base of your spine. It's around your tailbone. It's called your Muladhara. And this chakra is all about rooting into the earth. It's the origin point or your root. And it's associated with a sense of safety and security and grounding. So for anybody that ever studied psychology, if you ever learned about like id, ego, superego, I think of this as being your id, sort of the base needs of the human body. So food, water, shelter, safety, security are base needs as humans. And when this chakra is out of balance, you may experience senses of feeling unsafe, insecure about your own basic needs, constantly in kind of like a survival mode. And when you do have this chakra imbalance, you feel the opposite. So safe and secure, able to move through your day uninhibited. Yeah, so that's the gist. So with that in mind, we're going to practice a little bit and meditate a little bit. So start by just grounding yourself onto your seat and really think about what part of your body is meeting the floor. What part of you is grounded physically into the earth? You can start with your eyes open or closed. You can bring your eyelids halfway closed. If your eyes are open, it might help just to find a point to focus your eye movement on. Feel your seat grounding into the earth. Notice if you can draw your spine up a little taller just by grounding yourself a little, with a little more intention into the space that you're in. Draw your awareness now to your breath. Notice where your breath is landing in your body. Notice how fast or slow it's going. Maybe what temperature, all the physical sensations of your breath. Take a moment to check in with your brain, with your mind, and your mind's movements. Start to notice if thought patterns are kind of cycling through. Or if maybe the same thought keeps coming back up. Maybe it's a whole jumble of different thoughts this morning. As they come up, just notice them, acknowledge their presence, and see if you can bring yourself back to where you are right now. When you're ready for a little bit of movement, start by just taking your arms up overhead, grounding your sit bones into the earth and just reaching your hands to the sky, feeling your rib cage expand as you lift your shoulders up off of them. Take your palms to heart center on your exhale. On your next inhale, sweep your palms back overhead. And then take your right hand to the floor on the side of you, to the right. Maybe you tense your fingers, maybe you bring your whole palm to the floor. However much of your hand touches, think about your left sit bone still grounding down into the earth. And then reach your left hand up and away. So you've got this nice long arc from your hip to your fingertips. Notice how your chest landed. So if you've come this way and you're kind of looking at the floor, think about lifting your heart toward the side wall, rotating a little toward the side wall, and maybe turn your gaze upward if you'd like. Take one more breath. On your next inhale, let it bring you back up to center. Both hands back up to the sky. Exhale, palms together down to heart center. Inhale, palms overhead. Other way, left hand down. Exhale, reaching over to the left with your right hand. Thinking about grounding your right sit bone downward into the surface beneath you. Reaching your right fingertips away. And again, where did your heart land? It might be a little different on one side than the other, or muscle tightness might be a little different. So just notice how your body's starting to feel today. Inhale brings you back up to center. Exhale, palms together to heart center. Try one more big reach, inhale. And on your exhale, hands to the floor in front of you. And we'll come right up over our feet to tabletop. So if you were in a chair to begin with, you'd come to the floor now. If you were ankles crossed, roll up and over your shins. Tabletop. Now notice what points of you are grounded into the earth. We've lifted our tailbone from the floor. We've got the shins and the hands on the earth. So can you find a sense of grounding here, pressing your whole palms, maybe the whole tops of your feet, each toe pressing into the earth? Take a couple rounds of cat and cow, so dropping the belly to cow pose, lifting the belly to cat pose. And move at your own pace, just starting to wiggle out through the spine. Feel free to pause in one pose if that feels like you just need another moment there. And then coming through neutral, starting with the tailbone, just curl the tailbone under, like you're trying to pull your tail up into your belly. And then lift your sacrum, so the low back area, start to lift that. And then begin to lift the middle back, the upper spine. Let the neck curl under and the chin tuck in toward your chest. Slow motion cat. Take a round of breath here. When you're ready, we're going to do the opposite, starting from the tailbone again. So start by lifting the tailbone away from the floor. Dropping the belly little by little, rolling through your spine until your heart starts to come down toward the floor and towards your arms. And then the back of your neck lifts, the back of your head lifts. Coming into cow pose. Take a round of breath. And then draw your spine through neutral. So press your tailbone backward, crown of the head forward. See if you can get a little length through your body just by pressing backward and forward, pulling your spine nice and long. On your exhale, we're going to take the knees a little wider, toes together, and sit back to child's pose. If this is a little early for you to be in child's pose, feel free to adapt however is best for you. Maybe roll up your mat under your knees. Maybe put a block or some books, something to stack right underneath your sit bones again, just to get it'll decrease the bend at your knee joint. So to take some pressure off your knees, I find that to be pretty helpful. Pressing sit bones back, tailbone back, forehead toward the floor. And if your head doesn't quite meet the floor, feel free to stick, you can just even put your palms right under your forehead. You can put a block or a pillow underneath it if that's helpful. Feel your sit bones pressing backward on your exhales. See if you can allow your heart to come toward the floor a little bit. Let the weight of your head rest down on the surface underneath it. We've got a pretty deep fold at the fronts of our hips. So we're just starting to come into our postures little by little today. Again, if this is a little bit much for you, please feel free to come out of it or modify it however is more comfortable for your body. Take another round of breath. And then press yourself back up to tabletop, knees back under hips, hands under shoulders. When you're ready, we're going to curl the toes under. Press your hands into the floor, root your shoulders into your back. Lift your knees and just start by coming into kind of an awkward low crouch. So lifting your knees off the floor, pressing your hips up and back. So the idea being here that rather than coming into our downward dog with our hips way up in the air, and our hips are always up in the air, we tend to put more of our weight into our hands as humans when we come into down dog. So I want us to press our hips backward. So that's the idea with keeping your knees bent to start, so you can really get your hips to come backward. The weight of your body comes more into your feet a little bit, hopefully, rather than into your hands. So take one more round of breath, just kind of feeling that out, pressing the hips up and back. And then lower the knees back down to the floor. Take a break. Untuck your toes if you'd like. And we'll try that again. So ground your palms, plug your shoulders into your back, curl your toes under, lift your knees off the floor, press your hips up and back. So your weight is pressing backward into your legs, into your feet. Lower your knees back down. This will be our last one, and this time we're going to lift the hips up and back, coming into our downward dog a little more fully. So when you're ready, palms into the floor, curl the toes under, lift the knees, press the hips up and back, and come into your downward dog in whatever capacity your downward dog looks like today. So if that means your knees are still super bent, maybe your knees even stay on the floor and you just walk your hands forward. Maybe you bring your forearms downward instead of coming onto your hands. Lots of options here. Either way, I'd like you to think about your tailbone pointing up and back and using your belly muscles, your leg muscles to press it that way. So taking the weight off your hands and shoulders a little bit. On your next exhale, take a bend at the knees, look forward, step to the front of your mat, and come to forward fold. Inhale, come to halfway lift, so stretch your spine long. Again, your knees can be bent. I'm thinking about bringing my tailbone backward and the crown of my head forward again, just like in tabletop, lengthening the spine. On your exhale, come back to forward fold. Dig your heels into the ground and raise yourself up to standing, rolling your spine up. Inhale, lift your palms overhead. Exhale, palms to heart center. Take a moment here. Feel your feet on the earth. Shift your weight to your left foot. Shift your weight to your right foot. Shift into your toes and backward into your heels. And now let your tailbone center between your feet. I don't know if that makes sense. Imagine that your tailbone is hovering directly between your 2 feet. So it's not swinging to one side or the other. Your weight is centered and your tailbone is kind of the point that's pointing straight downward toward the floor. Grow your spine up a little taller on your inhales. Lift the crown of your head away from the floor and keep thinking about the soles of your feet on the earth. On your next inhale, sweep your palms overhead. Exhale, swan dive, come to forward fold. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, sit back to chair pose. So feet are grounded, legs are strong and supportive, and you bring up that energy of the earth right up into your pelvis, right into your sit bones, your tailbone. Sit your tailbone back and down a little bit, grow your spine up nice and tall. Tall, I mean, we're on an angle, but you still want your spine nice and long. And then grow your arms up into the sky. Plug your fingertips into the clouds. Take one more round of breath here. On your exhale, palms to heart center, twist your chest to the right, your face to the right. If you'd like, you can bring your elbow in between your thighs or to your upper outer right thigh. Takes you into a bit of a deeper twist. So if that's not what you're feeling today, come right up out of it and just hover instead. Take one more round of breath, sit back. Exhale, come back to center and down to forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, dig your heels in, roll all the way up to standing. Inhale, sweep the palms overhead. Exhale, palms to heart center. Now take your hands to your hips. Take your right foot off the floor, bend the knee. Maybe point and flex your foot, roll out the ankle a little bit. See if you can get the knee to about hips height. So folding at the hip crease again, lifting the knee, away from the floor. Maybe flex your foot so that your toes point up away from the floor. Think about your left foot grounding down into the floor and pull that earth energy all the way up to your hip. Take your right hand to the right kneecap now. And see if you can rotate your thigh bone out to the right. We're going to stay here for one more breath. If you'd like to come to a wall, I should have said this before, feel free to come to a wall and just tap your hand or chair or table. So now we're activating outer hip, outer thigh muscles, rotating the thigh at the hip joint out to the side, pointing the kneecap out to the side. If you're feeling pretty good, maybe lift your left hand to the sky and take one more round of breath. At the bottom of your exhale, bring your knee back to center, hands back to hips, bring your right foot to the floor. Recenter your weight. Feel both feet on the floor again. Inhale, sweep the palms overhead. Exhale, swan dive to forward fold. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, tent your hands, bend your knees, lift your left foot off the floor, bend the knee, kick the kneecap toward the sky. So now we're standing on our right foot. We're giving that left leg a bit of a break. Lifting your kneecap toward the sky, extend your leg now so that your foot is reaching up into the air. On your next exhale, bend your right leg, your standing leg. Reach your left foot backward towards the back of your mat, curling the toes under. Balance your weight between both feet, and then lift yourself all the way up to standing, so high lunge. Inhale, stretch your palms overhead, get some length up through your spine. Think about what parts of you are touching the floor right now. Back toes, front foot. On your next exhale, left hand forward, right hand back, open twist. Inhale, flip the front palm, reach up and back. Take the back hand, your right hand, to your back, to the back of your leg, somewhere that you can touch, just to help you come into the pose a little bit further, possibly. On your next exhale, come back to that open twist. Inhale, both hands overhead. Exhale, pivot yourself to warrior two. So back heel down. I'm just going to rotate so that I can see you again. Back heel down, foot parallel with the back edge of your mat. Rotating your chest toward the long edge of your mat, growing your arms straight out to the sides. On your next inhale, flip your front palm to the sky, reach up and back, straighten out that front leg. Reverse triangle. At the bottom of your next exhale, come back to warrior two. Excuse me. Inhale, reach yourself forward. Exhale, forearm to thigh or hand inside your foot. And take your top arm into some guitar circles, air guitar. Roll out that shoulder. And then reach that palm way overhead. Feel your touch points that meet the floor right now. Think about your back foot pressing into the earth, back heel, back toes, as you reach your top hand way overhead. So you're grounding yourself deeper into the earth to get a little more length through your body. Take one more breath. At the bottom of your exhale, come back to warrior two. Inhale, let's bring the back heel off the floor again, coming back into that high lunge, rotating the hips back to the front of the mat. Inhale, palms overhead. Exhale, palms down to frame the front foot. And step yourself back up to the front of your mat. Forward fold, exhale. Press both feet into the earth. Bend your knees. Let your tailbone be up high. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, roll yourself up to standing. Inhale, sweep palms overhead. Exhale, palms to heart center. Take a moment to reset. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel your tailbone pointing downward, your spine growing up. On your next inhale, sweep your palms overhead. Exhale, swan dive to forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, sit back to chair. Pressing your sit bones, your tailbone back and down, lifting your spine up and out, growing your fingertips up to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, palms to heart center, and twist yourself to the left. Chest to the left, face to the left. Maybe you take your elbow inside your legs, maybe outside your left thigh. Maybe you just hover. Whatever you choose, take one more nice long breath here if you can. Exhale, come back to center and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, dig your heels in, Rise to standing. Feel your feet on the floor as you reach your fingertips to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, palms to heart center. And take your palms to your hips. Shift your weight into your right foot this time. Bend your left knee, lifting your foot off the floor. Point flex the foot, maybe roll it left to right. We're balancing again. So if you'd like to come to a wall, I'm saying it at the appropriate time this time. Feel free to move yourself around your space if you need to. Take your left hand to your left kneecap. Flex your foot. Think about the right foot standing strong on the floor, pulling energy all the way up to your hip, right through your leg. All those muscles nice and strong and grounded and supported. Take your leg, your left leg now, the bent leg, rotate it out to the side. Activating outer hip, outer thigh muscles, nice and strong through the thigh and the outer hip. Take your right hand if you'd like, if you're feeling pretty strong and supported. Maybe grow your right hand up into the sky. Take one more round of breath. And then come back to center with your knee. Bring both feet back to the floor. Inhale, palms overhead. Exhale, palms to heart center. Inhale, palms overhead. Exhale, swan dive to forward fold. Tent your hands, bend both knees. Stand on your left foot now. Lift your right foot off the floor. I'm sorry, I'm doing a lot of left and rights here, but I think I've got it right this time. So you're lifting your right foot off the floor, the one that we just balanced on. Lift that foot off the floor. Lift the kneecap toward the sky. And then extend that leg long into the air, kicking the foot up into the sky. Take one more round of breath. And on your exhale, bend your standing leg, float your flying foot to the back of your mat, and then balance your weight between your 2 feet and lift yourself up to high lunge. Inhale, palms overhead. Exhale, right hand forward, left hand backward. Twist. Inhale, front hand flips to the sky, reach up and back. Take your back hand to your back body. And take one more round of breath. At the bottom of your exhale, back to open twist. Inhale, both hands over your head. Exhale, open to warrior 2. Take a second to settle in. Back heel down. Foot parallel to the back of your mat-ish. Rotate your chest toward the long edge of your mat. Grow your palms out to the sides. On your next inhale, flip your front palm to the sky. Reach up and back, straighten out your front leg, reverse triangle. At the bottom of your exhale, come back to warrior 2. Inhale, reach your torso forward. Exhale, forearm to thigh or hand inside foot on the floor. Take that top arm into some nice open air guitar circles. Open up that shoulder. And then grow that hand overhead to the side wall, all the way from your back foot to your fingertips. Take one more round of breath. At the bottom of your exhale, come back to warrior 2. And let's come back up onto our back toes. Rotate your hips toward the front of your mat now. Inhale, palms overhead. Exhale, palms to the floor. Frame your front foot and step your back foot forward. Feel your feet on the floor. Bend your knees. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, dig your heels in, rise to standing. Inhale, sweep palms overhead. Exhale, palms to heart center. Take your palms down by your sides for a moment. If you prefer a more active Tadasana, you can open the palms, spread the fingers, and kind of reach your palms out to the sides. You can also take a more passive mountain pose with just palms relaxed by your side, and that's totally up to you right now. Feel your feet on the earth. Feel your tailbone centered between your feet. Grow your spine up tall. Check in with your breath. We'll be doing just a little bit more balance. I know I've been doing a lot of balance today. I'm working up the body to try out tree pose today. So if you'd like to come closer to a wall, a table, a chair for a little extra balance, feel free to move yourself around your space at this point. When you are ready, start with your hands back on your hips. Shift your weight to your right foot. So you're standing on your right leg. I'm just rotating so that I can see everybody. So stand on your right foot and feel the sole of your foot on the floor. Just begin to notice how you're feeling on your right side. Take your left foot now and bring the inner edge of your foot, the sole of your foot to the inner edge of your right ankle to start. So you've got this kind of triangle shape at your knee joint, rotating your thigh out to the side, just like we did when we had the knee in the air. Now you've just got your foot on your body, the sole of your foot on your body. If you'd like now, you can start to work that foot up the seam, inner edge seam of your leg. You can stop at your calf. You can stop at your thigh. I would recommend not stopping on your knee, just because that's a joint that has the ability to do things we don't want it to do if it gets too much pressure put on it. So you can come up as high as you'd like. You can also stay with your foot really close to the earth if that feels more grounding for you. So find a spot where you feel like you can kind of press the sole of your foot into your standing leg, grounding yourself into the earth. These are your roots. So from your tailbone to the soles of your feet, you are this nice, beautiful tree with these really long, strong roots into the earth. Your torso is your trunk, all the way up to your shoulders. And then the crown of your head and your arms are now your branches. If you'd like to grow your branches up to the sky or out to the sides, optional, but feel free to try it out. Take one more breath here. And if you're feeling really balanced, maybe you close your eyes. Maybe not. And the next exhale, we're going to come out the way we came in. Hands back down, foot back down. Move around, wiggle out. Nice, yeah. Feel free to kind of roll through your feet a little bit. And just to kind of balance out what we just did all that work on, stand both feet, press both feet into the floor. Take your left hand to your left hip, take your right arm up to the sky, and just do a quick side bend, similar to what we did when we were seated on the floor. But now we've got hand on hip, feet on the floor. Open up that side body, press your right foot into the floor to reach your right hand over to the side. Exhale, come back to center. Both hands down by your sides. Awesome. Okay, hands back to hips. We'll do tree pose on our left side. So ground your left foot, move your weight into your left leg. Move your right foot over so that you can tap your foot, the sole of your foot, to the inner edge of your left leg, your standing leg. Begin working that foot up the seam of your leg, the inseam of your pants, kind of right up the middle of that line, as far as you'd like to go. Again, you can come all the way up to the inner edge of your hip if you want to. Find a spot where you can feel the sole of your foot press into the standing leg and the standing leg press back into the sole of your foot. Your tree roots are grounded all the way up to your tailbone. From your hips and your tailbone, grow your trunk up nice and tall. And if you'd like to, you can sprout some branches, maybe wiggle your leaves, rolling out your hands and fingers at the top. Take 1 or 2 more rounds of breath and maybe close your eyes if you want that extra challenge. All right, come out the way you came in. Hands back down, feet back down. Awesome job, everyone. Wiggle out, loosen out things. Plant both feet into the floor for a moment. Right hand to right hip, left hand reaches up and over. So you get a nice long arc from your foot, your left foot, to your left hand. Come back to center. Both hands down by your sides. Tadasana. Inhale, sweep both palms overhead. Exhale, swan dive to forward fold. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Dig your heels in, rise to standing. Just giving ourselves a moment to reset. Exhale, palms back to heart center. And we're going to test out Muladhara, yogi squat. So if you'd like to grab something that you can sit on, whether that's like a chair, a stool, something that'll just be underneath your sit bones when you come closer to the floor, feel free to grab something. Take your feet a little bit wider than hips distance, maybe under hips, maybe a little wider, whatever feels best in your body. And we'll be bringing our hips toward the floor, trying to keep our knees from going way, way, way out in front of our toes. So thinking more about hips back behind us, kind of like chair, but you keep going toward the floor. Whenever you're ready, we're going to reach the palms overhead. Inhale, exhale, palms to heart center, and begin to lower yourself into your squat as much as you feel like coming into it today. So if you're feeling like you want to stay hovering closer to chair, that's perfectly fine. If you feel like you need to come closer to the earth for this, come as close as you'd like. Maybe sit on something. Maybe tuck your elbows inside your knees, pressing elbows into knees, knees into elbows. Wherever you land, think tailbone down, crown of the head up, or at least get length. Tailbone might not be like down, it might be kind of on an angle, that's fine. Take 1 more round of breath, sitting closer to the earth. And then wherever you are, lower yourself to the floor. You can use your hands to do this. Just bring yourself down onto the earth and come all the way onto your back. Take your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug, rock and roll. You've got a little time for flea play. Free play, no fleas. Feel free to move around however you'd like to. I like to kind of take my hands to my knees and just let my legs flop around. But you can move around however you want to. You can come to child's, happy baby pose. You can stay still, whatever feels best for you. Now plant the soles of your feet on the floor. Ground your shoulders backward into the earth. Press your upper arms and hands now into the floor on either side of you. Dig your heels into the earth and begin to lift your tailbone away from the floor. Think about pressing your knees forward towards your toes and see if that helps you get a little bit of lift off of your shoulders. So you're really grounding into your feet, into your leg muscles, lifting yourself with your legs. Take one more breath. Exhale, lower the spine back to the earth. Bring the knees together now. And then the knees and the feet come to touch. And then allow the knees to open out to the sides, soles of the feet touching each other. If this is not super comfortable for you, there are a few ways to adapt it. So if you'd like, you can stick blocks or pillows or something underneath your thighs. We won't be here for super long today, so just a few more breaths. So if you are practicing this on your own, that's something that if you'd like to test out, you can try it out on your own too. Feel the soles of your feet touching one another. Imagine your tailbone pointing down toward your heels. Down meaning away from the crown of your head, not toward the center of the earth right now. Take one more round of breath. When you're ready, take your hands to the outer edges of your thighs. Help yourself back to center, so knees back together. Take your feet wide now and let your knees shift from one side to the other. Unstick the soles of your feet from the floor and begin to wobble your legs toward the bottom of your mat till they're out long. Once they get all the way to the bottom, take your hands overhead on the floor and stretch yourself out. Point and flex your toes, maybe roll out your wrists. If you've got a strap and you want to use it, go ahead and grab it and have it nearby. I left mine somewhere. I don't know where it went, so no strap for me to, oh, here it is. Look at that. It's my lucky day. All right, pull your right knee in towards your chest. Feel how that has affected your hips, if at all. Think about centering your hips, pointing your tailbone down toward where both feet, in between both feet, where they would be if you were both feet down. And then if you're using a strap, go ahead and hook it around the ball of your foot. If you're not using a strap, that's fine too. Just begin to extend your foot away from the floor now, everybody. So any amount, pressing the back of your hip into the floor, pressing your foot up to the sky. If you'd like, if you've got your hands on your leg or your hands on the strap, you may like to try kind of bending and extending your leg, just kind of working into the back of the leg muscles a little bit. And now take both straps or the leg into your right hand, so same foot and hand, and then open that leg out to the side. So you're opening up the inner thigh up to the sky. Draw that leg back through center, switching your hand hold. So grab with your opposite hand now. Bring the back of your hip to the floor. Pull your foot across your body now. And for now, try to keep the back of your right hip grounded a little bit. So keep that hip on the floor and just pull the foot across the body. That might mean you don't go super far, but the idea here is that I personally really love getting into the outer part of my leg a little bit deeper. So that's what we're doing, opening up the outer hip, outer knee, maybe into your IT band that runs from just over your knee to all the way up into your hip. And then when you're ready, you can now let your hip come up and over. You can let the foot come to the floor. You can let go of your strap. You can bend the knee. Much more loosey-goosey, just letting the hips kind of roll into a twist. And then take your arms open into a T and maybe turn your gaze away from toward the right, away from your leg. When you're ready, come on back to center. Extend both legs on the floor. Maybe shake them out a little bit. Take your left knee into your chest now. Again, just kind of notice if that shifted your hips. My hip kind of like hugs up into my side when I pull my knee up, just automatically. So I'm going to just think about pressing the hips back down so they're kind of more level with each other a little bit. If you're using your strap, grab it, hook up the ball of your foot. Either way, start to extend your leg away from the floor. The foot toward the sky, hip back into the floor. And again, maybe kind of bend and straighten the knee little by little, just kind of activating the leg muscles, working into the back of the thigh a little bit. Now take the straps or the leg into your left hand and open the leg out to the side. Inner thigh toward the sky. Draw that leg back through center. Switch your hand hold. Keep that hip grounded and just pull the foot across the body for now. One more breath here. And then allow the hips to roll over each other. Let the foot come to the floor on the opposite side of you. Maybe bend the knee, let go of the strap. Open your arms to a T and maybe turn your chin to the left, turning your gaze away from that foot. And take a couple breaths here into the twist. When you're ready, come back to center. Extend both legs on the floor, shake them out a little bit. And we're setting up for Shavasana now. So our final resting pose. Feel free to take any other movement, any adjustments that you need to find the most grounded, most centering place that you can be right now. If that means adding a layer, a blanket or socks, changing the lighting, adding pillows or cushions under places that need a little bit of support, bending your knees, the options are endless. Whatever feels most comfortable and grounding for your body. Check in with your body. Check in with your breath. Check in with your mind. Know that you are here. You are grounded in this moment. The earth is always there beneath us as a reminder of that. And with that reminder, hopefully we also remember the feelings of security, safety, and grounding that come with that. Take a few more moments here just to check in with your body, your breath, and your mind. When you're ready to start coming back out of Shavasana, start with your breath. Maybe taking deeper breaths or pressing the air out on your exhales a little more actively. Begin wiggling your fingers and toes, small muscles in your face. And roll yourself onto one side to let your practice settle in your body before you press up to seated. Take your time getting there. Take a moment to settle before coming up to seated. When you're ready, once you are seated, maybe take your palms overhead, ground your sit bones into the earth, grow your spine up tall, exhale, palms to heart center, and maybe take a gentle bow to your body, yourself, your classmates. Thank you very much for showing up today. Take super good care of yourselves.